What up, everybody? It's AC the Engineer back at you with another video for AC Reviews the World. We got something remarkable has happened. Well, they have released. So if you're keeping up with it, they have released the assassination files for Martin Luther King Jr. So the DOJ just recently released that yesterday. So we're gonna basically go through that, but the main thing is there's a lot of files over 230,000 pages. Some crazy like 6,000 documents. We'll get the exact number here in a second. But I wasn't gonna go through all that. So I was thinking, just all the pages. I wasn't gonna go through it one by one. So I was thinking, why not use AI for this? So I'm on use mostly Google Gemini for some of my stuff. So I basically came up with a prompt. So, well, first thing before we get into that, if you want to go look at the actual files, and I always suggest you do your own research and take your own information into your own hands. So let's get right over into this. Main thing is, if you go to, you can just simply type into Google MLK Jr. assassination files, and it will pull you to the Department of Justice website. So you go to the Department of Justice website, and it basically has all the files here. So we'll basically go through this, and here's what it says. Today, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, hosted Dr. King at the Department of Justice to commemorate, you know what I'm trying to say, to release the release of the files regarding the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This release contained 230,000 pages of documents and comes in accordance to Donald J. Trump's Executive Order 14176. This basically is a collaboration between the Department of Justice, the National Intelligence, Central Intelligence Agency, National Archive of Records, and the Department of Justice attorney spent hundreds of hours preparing and digitizing these documents for release. Basically they're saying the American people, hold on, let me increase a little bit for everyone here. Let's get this in. So the American people deserve answers decades after the horrific assassination of one of our nation's great leaders, says Attorney General Pam Bondi. The Department of Justice is proud to partner with the Director Garby and ODNI at President Trump's direction for the latest disclosure. I am grateful to President Trump and the Attorney General Bondi for delivering and pleasing to the transparency in the regarding documents of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, so it's Dr. Aleva King, my uncle, boldly in pursuit of the truth and justice, and his enduring legacy and faith continues to inspire Americans to this day. While we continue to mourn his death, the declassification and release of these documents are a historic step towards the truth. And they basically say a remarkable life, and then any transparency to his assassination on April 4th, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. So that's basically the kind of breakdown that they gave us with this. So if you click on this link, you will get sent over to the records, the National Archive. So the National Archive, so basically, as you see right here, let me zoom in some so everybody can see it and we're all tracking. So if you zoom in here, like I said, I suggest y'all read this for yourself, but we're basically just want to see how many documents it actually is. So as you can see, we have 6,301 PDF files and one MP3 audio file. And we will be listening to that later today, later in this recording, but I just wanted to. So it's basically just stacks and stacks. Let me see, go all the way to stacks and stacks. All released yesterday. So I wasn't going to go by that one by one. But AI is a very powerful tool. And so I wanted to get a sip of water. I wanted to see what AI could do and what it could do for me in this situation where I just wanted to get what information was within it. So that is what I did. I went over to Google Gemini. And as you see, I used this prompt right here. This is the prompt I used. I didn't upload any data, anything like this. I used the deep research mode and this prompt. So the prompt I wrote was, the Department of Justice, now if there's any spelling errors, ignore that. The Department of Justice has just released Martin Luther King Jr.'s files on the DLG website. Can you go through the files and provide new information that is not generally known to the public? Please provide references of the exact files which the information is coming from. Please provide it in a bullet point style, sort by types of information. Now, that was just a prompt. I just wanted to see what it would say. So it did its thinking. About 4 or 5 minutes went by. And boom, it gave me some research of what it was finding. So gave me a whole couple of paragraphs just stating what is breaking down in the files, specific details, and all of that. Now we'll go deep dive into this, but to have it more audible, I was like, yeah, let me see. This is AI here. So let's see. I want it to have an audio breakdown. I wanted to have it create an audio breakdown for me of what we was just pulled up. So that's what I did. The next thing I did was, can you read the report? So the first thing it says, I can't help you with any questions, but I have the premium status. I don't know if that's the only way you can do this, but generate audio overview. So it's thought for a few more minutes and bye. That is what it did. So we're going to listen to this. Now, it is crazy how powerful AI is. I didn't say anything. All I said was generate an audio overview. And I was shocked at what I found. But let's listen into it and see what it says. And it basically breaks down what was in the deep report. So like I said, always do your own research. I haven't checked any of this with the files or anything like that. But I just wanted to go through and show the process that AI had and what I went through. So let's go through and let's do
the deep dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty huge. Over 230,000 pages of Martin Luther King Jr. assassination files just released.
Yeah, July 21st. And these aren't just random documents. A lot of this stuff.
Now, let me say this. I'm not going to pause it too much, but let me say this. This is all AI generated. All AI generated. They decided to have it to where it come up to where it's two different people talking. AI is a very powerful entity. Very powerful. But let's keep going into this.
Has been sitting, basically collecting dust in government facilities for decades.
Decades, wow. So our mission here is to try and cut through that massive volume, find some of the surprising bits, and figure out what they mean for your understanding.
Exactly. Because having it all online, centralized, that's totally new. It gives us unprecedented access.
Okay, so let's jump right into the investigation itself. What's new there?
Well, there's this interesting detail from James Earl Ray's former cellmate. It talks about an alleged assassination plot they discussed.
Discussed before the assassination.
That's what it suggests, yeah. It points to active conversations about a plot beforehand, which, adds a layer beyond just Ray's own statements later.
And I saw something about an audio recording of
yep.
Jerry Ray, his brother.
Yes.
Well, we talked about the audio recording.
That's pretty remarkable. An actual police interview recording. Think about what hearing his voice, his inflections might add.
Right, compared to just reading a flat transcript. You might hear nervousness or maybe confidence, things you'd otherwise miss.
Precisely. It's a totally different kind of evidence for this case. And it's not just domestic stuff either. These files shed light on the international manhunt for Ray.
How so?
We're seeing unique evidence from Canadian police, for instance, and there are CIA records, never seen before, detailing the overseas intelligence gathering during the pursuit.
So a global chase, really.
It definitely had international dimensions. But it's important to step back for a second here.
Okay.
While these details are new, the fundamental disagreement remains, doesn't it?
You mean the official conclusion versus the family's stance?
Exactly. The Justice Department consistently pointed to James Earl Ray as the sole assassin.
But the King family has always believed there was a wider conspiracy. And they actually won a civil case on that basis back in '99.
Right. A verdict that found evidence of a conspiracy involving government agencies. We're just laying out what the different sources and findings say, so you have the full picture.
Absolutely. But these files, they aren't just about the assassination, are they? There's a lot about Dr. King's own plans.
Oh, definitely. Particularly his strategy for the Poor People's Campaign, what they called the Washington Spring Project.
And the documents show he planned to seriously disrupt Washington, D.C.
Yes. His stated goal was to, and I quote, disrupt the normal course of business and, in fact, close down the nation's capital. He talked about using non-destructive dislocation.
Like sit-ins, filling the jails.
Mm.
He apparently even bragged about filling the jails.
His philosophy, laid out right there, was to dislocate the function of a city without destroying it can be more effective than a riot.
Mm.
It shows a very calculated approach to nonviolence.
And here's something that, well, really shifted my perspective. The files show King actively engaging with black nationalist groups, trying to get Stokely Carmichael specifically on board.
To solicit their support is the phrase used. For his nonviolent campaign, it paints a more, let's say, complex picture of his alliances than is often presented.
Definitely more nuanced. But then there's a darker side revealed in these files, particularly from the FBI.
Yes, some really disturbing internal FBI allegations surface. They describe Stanley Levison, who was a key advisor to King.
What did they say about him?
They called him a shrewd, dedicated communist who supposedly controlled King's statements, even edited his writings, his book.
Controlled him. And it gets worse, doesn't it? The FBI's internal view of King himself.
It does. They actually characterized King internally as a slow thinker, someone who needed help just to make statements.
Wow, a slow thinker. That's quite something. It really underlines the disinformation campaign against him.
It absolutely does. It shows the depth and, frankly, the malice of it. Not just labeling, but actively trying to discredit his intellect, his advisors, everything.
So when you pull back, what does all this mean for how you understand King? And maybe how you approach these kinds of records?
Well, it highlights his strategic depth, for one, but it also just underscores how crucial it is to be critical of your sources, especially records from agencies known to have engaged in disinformation.
They're not always just neutral observers recording facts.
Far from it sometimes. You have to read between the lines, consider the source's own agenda.
So the big takeaways seem to be this unprecedented access, the new granular details on the investigation, and these really stark revelations about King's strategic thinking alongside the FBI's efforts against him.
Exactly. A complex picture, but a clearer one, perhaps.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What else might be hiding in plain sight? Not just in these files, maybe, but in how we generally understand history. Something to chew on.
Wow. Now remember, this is all AI. All I told AI was to break down or give me an audio overview of what it actually found in the deep research. So there's a lot of information to unpack. But I also wanted to do, I also created, AI is a very powerful tool. So, and I also did this, which breaks it down into a more visual style. So let's get into this. So basically, this is what I did. All I asked it was give me a web page. So the declassified MLK files. So an interactive exploration of the July 2025 documents concerning the assassination. So the release. So basically, what we already talked about before. An unprecedented disclosure talks about over 230,000 pages, 6,301 PDFs, and then one audio file. And it had multiple agencies coordinating, which we talked about. So it also goes into the assassination probe. So new investigative threads, while not containing definitive smoking gun, the files reveal a new granular details about the investigation into Dr. King's murder and exploring key findings that adds new layers to the historical facts. So the cellmate account. So the former cellmate of James Earl Ray told FBI that he had discussed an alleged assassination plot with Ray before the murder. And then you also have the brothers interview. So that's the audio file that we'll look at here later. A newly released audio file contained a police interview with Jerry Ray, James Earl Ray's brother, offering an unmediated primary source. So, and then you got the national hunt, the never before seen CIA and Canadian police files, detailing the global manhunt for Ray after he fled the United States. So you have two different narratives. Let me zoom out some so we can get. So we got two different narratives: activism versus disinformation. The files provided a stark contrast. One side revealed Dr. King as a shrewd political strategist involving his tactics, while the other exposed depths of the FBI's campaign to discredit him. So the strategist. So aggressively nonviolence, which we know Dr. King for. Plans for the Poor People's Campaign revealed an intent to close down the nation's capital through mass disobedience sit-ins, what we talked about. King strategy to dislocate to the function of the city without destroying it, viewing it as a more effective than long-lasting riots. So we talked about that as well. And documents show King meeting with the black nationalists. So, okay, everything what we're seeing. So as you can see, AI is very consistent. Everything that is said from the audio overview to the everything about the strategy, about the FBI discrediting him or disinformation. So FBI describes Stanley Liu as a shrewd, dedicated communist. So everything. Attacking his intelligence. And then, so the debate, but everything it does is to break it down. So, but let's get into the actual file itself. So like I said before, we'll go through it. And we're not going to, I'll probably make this available so we can all see it, but let's see what we're talking about. So let's go through this. Basically just talked about, I'm going to skim through it a little bit now. If you want me to do a more in-depth read of this, I can always do that. A significant aspect of the unprecedented disclosure is that a considerable portion of the MLK file documents have not been digitized before, having remained unexamined and collecting dust in facilities across the federal government for decades. Their current online publication marks the first time these things have been. Okay, Social Security numbers, primary. The report undertakes a meticulous analysis of July 25th release. So, Table 1, key new revelations from the MLK file. So, these are the key revelations that we talked about. So, all the new specific details. We talked about the James Earl, former cellmate regarding the assassination plot, audio files, unique foreign evidence from the Canadian Police Department regarding race flights. Never before CIA records overseeing the intelligence on the international hunt, explicit plans for the poor. So everything we're seeing, specific FBI allegations, internal, okay, everything we're seeing is living up to what we was looking at in the audio view. So everything's all consistent. That's the main thing we want to talk about. So everything's all consistent. The release of this scope, process, and public reception. So the recent files encompasses a mass volume of records totaling 243,496 pages across 6,301 PDFs and a notable one MP3 audio file. The significant portion of these documents have been under a court-opposed seal since 1977. Imposed seal from 1977. The current online represents unprecedented. Yep, we know that. The inconsistent emphasis across multiple sources of these files were never digitized and sat collecting dust. Yep. However, the sheer volume makes these documents legitimate. However, so where's this? However, the sheer volume, coupled with the noted issues of document legitimacy, I'm crossing my words now, due to the age and digitization, still presents a significant challenge for researchers to fully process and interpret the material. This means that the newness of the information is often tied to his newfound accessibility rather than the solely to fundamental shifts in the historical narrative. So let's see. So the release, so it's all the agencies working together. So here's something. The King family's perspectives and concerns. So the Dr. King's two living children, Martin Luther King III and Bernice King, were granted advanced access to these records and their own teams reviewing the documents prior to the public disclosure. Despite that, they expressed significant opposition and profound concerns regarding the timing, intent, and potential misuse of these files. Okay. Now, here's a question, not to derail everything what we're talking about, but do you think that this file was released solely because of the non-release of the Epstein files or any significant client list, or if they buried that? That's a good question. Well, let's keep going into this. So the King family, so like I said, they were transparently providing answers. The family proactive stance and opposition are a direct consequence of the historical context of the FBI's operations, which actively sought to discredit King. So, like we talked, like what they mentioned before, they was calling him, going after his intelligence, saying that people were just writing stuff for him, trying to take away from the honor and his brain and what we knew to be Dr. King, what we always talked about in schools and everything like that. This highlights the inherent tensions between the government pursuit of of transparency and the protection of historical figures' legacy, especially when those figures were targeted of a state-sponsored campaign of surveillance and disinformation. This situation profoundly underscores the historical documents are not neutral artifacts, and they are the products of specific historical moments, often imbued with biases, agendas, and intentions of the creator. For research and necessities, an even more rigorous and critical approach demands not only analysis of the context, but also a deep understanding of the source, intent, and the broader historical context. The release, therefore, becomes significantly a background historical interpretation, where the meaning and the impact of new information are actively contested. So, basically, we got different documents, details about the investigation, FBI investigative details. So, new information regarding the assassination investigation. So, the newly released documents provide a more going. So, these are all stuff we know. Okay, let's see. Any significant new details presenting the cellmate. What does it say? Who stated he had discussed in it. So, the cellmate. So, this is the James Earl Ray cellmate. He stated he discussed with Ray an alleged assassination project. The specific piece of information, previously undigitized and not widely known, introduces a new, intriguing element to the narrative surrounding his Ray motivations, possible co-conspirators, or even his attempt to deflect blame, which official Justice DOJ reviews in 1977 2000 consistently concluded that James Earl Jones was the assassin and no evidence of the broader conspiracy. Okay, so it goes against a little bit what they were saying that he talked about it before with the cellmate. So let's see. The newly released details about Ray's cellmate discussing an alleged assassination plate with him directly contributes to this long-standing and unresolved debate. So that is why the debate comes, because all this new information is coming out. So we talked about the audio file. International, let's see, anything about this that's explicit highlights evidence that the Canadian Police Department had never before seen CIA. Wow. AI is so powerful. It breaks down a whole list of this. So let's see. This is interesting. The Poor People's Campaign, so in the strategy of civil disobedience. So like what we mentioned before, Washington Spring Project or Poor People's March. He stated his intention to disturb the normal course of business and in fact close down a nation's capital. His plans was to include organized sit-ins, campaigns, sit-ins at every government facility available, including lawn of the White House. And he bragged that he will fill up the jails of the Washington and surrounding towns. This provided a more aggressive and detailed picture to his late stage direct action strategy. The files contain King's philosophy on civil disobedience, starting to dislocate the function of the city without destroying it. So he was always a person for nonviolence, what we talked about before. Even in the face, so committed to nonviolence, even in the face of escalating social tension. Oh, there's so much information here. So all this, I'm most likely gonna leave a link to all this, so we can share it. You'll be able to see it. I might have it behind. Might have to go to the Discord, but But we basically everything that the deep research said that happened, and also in the audio overview and the breakdown that we did right here. All of that is basically all the information that AI has popped out from my prompt that I gave them. So now I do also want to go to the MP3 file. So I want to actually look at that so we can easily go to that. Let's see. By simply MP3. So go to the MP3. I've heard just a little bit of this, but let's listen in. Now remember, this MP3 is James Earl Ray's brother being interviewed by the police about his brother and the assassination. So let's get into this.
Jerry, when did you last see your brother?
4 years ago.
What did he say to you then? What did you say to him? Where was it?
He was in Missouri prison. Just ordinary talk.
You were visiting him?
Visiting.
Had he tried to escape at that time? Had he made one of his attempts?
He maybe 6 months before.
So this is an attempt. He's
Did
talking
he feel
about
it
the
was
attempt.
hopeless that he'd have to escape in order to get out?
Jail.
Oh, he seemed in pretty good spirits. He didn't seem hopeless, but he didn't talk too much to me about escaping again.
Did he ever talk to you about Martin Luther King?
No, he never did mention his name to me.
In your whole life together, he's never mentioned him?
Never one time. Of course, we haven't been around each other that much.
Did he ever talk to you about Negroes?
No, he never did say anything about it.
Do you know whether he had any feelings about civil rights? Or
No, he never did discuss. He had other things to talk about. He never did discuss civil rights. Down where he was at, they're segregated anyway, so he didn't come in contact with them.
do you know whether he had any strong feelings about integration or anything?
If he did, he never did say anything about it.
What did he talk about?
Oh, I only seen him 4 times while he was down there, and he about how things was outside, and what was I doing, and if I was going to get married, and this and that.
From what you know, Jerry, do you think that he is involved in King's killing?
I don't think he did it, and nobody else does, but it's hard to say just what the story is.
But they have his fingerprints on the gun.
Yeah, but they can't prove that gun is his. Though they said the bullet shattered, and they can't prove the bullet came on the gun. But then they say his fingerprints was on the gun, though.
But you don't think he's involved?
I don't think he was involved. I think he was used as he was used some way in it, though. I think that because, you know, of the money he spent and all that. I think his name was used, and because he couldn't turn himself in, he had so much time to do in Missouri, and I think he was implicated some way, more likely used.
Are you saying that someone paid him to pretend to be King's murderer?
Well, they had 2 Eric Starville Galts within about 2 miles of each other, and they all the time, every time he goes someplace, they have another guy like him, and seems kind of strange.
Wow.
Where do you think he got all this money?
That's a question I can't answer. I've thought of it a lot of times, but I can't come up with it either.
Where was he going to go from London, Jerry?
The reports is South Africa,
Why?
because there's no extradition laws there.
If your brother has been used by somebody, as you think, Would he ever implicate those people?
No, he'll never implicate him. He'll die with that on his, with that secret. Only he'll know it. Even I won't know it.
But he might be convicted for murder.
Well, he'll still, when it comes out, just one man will be tried for it. He'll be tried for it, and there won't be nobody else implicated, because whoever's in on it, if anybody was in on it, then that'll, like the inmate down Jefferson City that served time with him said he'll take it to his deathbed, and he will.
Because he's afraid?
No, he's not afraid of nobody. And never was afraid of nobody. But that's just the way he is.
You mean he feels it's honorable not to tell?
Yes, that's the way a lot of people feel. And a lot of people don't feel that way, and a lot of people do. And that's the way he feels, and his friends, the people he, his steady friends.
So you feel that he's innocent, but he's been used, but he's willing to be convicted of murder.
If they can get enough proof to prove that he murdered him, it's going to be hard for him to prove it, because the gun, I don't see how they can use it, because he said they can't tell if the bullet was the one come from the gun that was dropped with his fingerprints on it. And then they're going to have more evidence than that to prove that he's guilty, or to prove that he was implicated in it.
Do you think he's the kind of man who could pull a trigger and shoot somebody?
He never did show no action towards that before. He never did. You take a person that could shoot a guy. He was convicted of armed robbery. Every time he was convicted, he never, pistol whipped nobody or slapped him around. He just took the money and that was it. And if a guy was a type of guy with murdering people and the saddest, when they get through robbing a person, and they beat on them and that.
Now it's crazy to think. I'm just gonna talk for a second. It's crazy to think that this is his brother, and they had this tape out there. That is, but it sounds like to me so far what we're looking at is that he didn't think that this was his brother, and he didn't think his brother was capable of it. But at the end of the day, we'll be surprised at what people can be capable of. I bet everyone who knows someone who ever heard about some of these, like just their people that they know in their family committing some crazy things, a lot of people say the same thing. Some people know, yeah, I can see it happening, but some people, yeah, no, I can't see. Like mothers love to say that. I will say that mothers love to say, "Oh, my son can never do this." That's just not the type of person he is. But you never know. Sometimes people are wrong about the people in their family. But let's keep going into this, and got about another 6 minutes left.
He never did show no signs of that before.
All he was interested in was the money.
Just the money, that's it.
You think that's the case this time too?
I don't know.
But he doesn't know where
he was
all that
used
money from.
or how it was. Nobody will probably ever know about it.
I'm assuming the money he's talking about, the money to get out of state, go into a different country. Out of state, out of the country.
Well, he's fighting extradition now. Do you think that he will be extradited or that he will win?
Oh, he'll be extradited. There's no doubt about that, because they'll extradite him. They have to pack him across. They'll go over and take McMillan out. No, they'll extradite him. There's no doubt about that.
What will you do if he's extradited?
Go to Memphis, wherever, because that's where they'll take him.
Do you think he'll tell you the truth?
I kind of doubt it. I kind of doubt if he'll tell anybody else. If he definitely didn't do it, he'll tell me that, but he won't tell me, the other things, how come he was used or what. But he'll tell me if he did it or didn't do it. But he won't implicate nobody else or nothing like that.
What kind of man is your brother? Describe him.
I tell you, but to be honest, I don't know him too much, because the only time I seen him was when I visited him.
So they were
Except the
weren't
last
very
time
close.
that I seen him, when he was out, was in 1952. And I was only 52. That was about 16 years. I was
Golly,
I was
1952.
about 16 years old or something like that. I'm 32 now. I'm hard on figuring.
Kind of personality?
Oh, he's quiet.
So this is like in the
Guy,
70s.
he don't bother nobody. Minds his own business.
How did he begin getting in trouble then?
I don't know much about that because when he got in trouble, that I wasn't around. I was just a kid when he started that, and I was just 15 or 16 years old last time I seen him. When he was out.
Why do you think he started taking that route instead of working and so on?
But to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't know. I guess it's just one person thinks different than the other. Thought that was easier than working, I guess.
But as far as you know, he had no strong feeling one way or another about Martin Luther King or civil rights or Negroes?
Now, I've talked to him. I've been down to see him 4 times, and plus the other times I've seen him. And he never did mention them. And down in Missouri, where he was at, you don't even come in contact with him because they're in one place, you're in another place. That's segregated. And so he couldn't get no hostile feelings down there towards them because they don't come together.
Do you think that if he would do armed robbery for money, do you think that he would actually kill somebody for money?
That's a good question. Hold on, that's a good question.
The only way he would if his life was at stake himself. That's the only way he would ever do something like that. If he had to, kill him to keep alive, or if he was, the pressure would have to be awful great, and still I doubt if he would.
Could the pressure have been very great and applied to him in the case of Dr. King?
We're out, Sherry.
What?
Both of us are. Yeah. Just a second.
I'd like to ask a couple more questions. So, Jerry, your whole theory is that your brother was paid to implicate
Why they
himself.
they was getting ready to stop it.
Well,
He was
explain
Sound
it.
like.
I figure he was paid for his name being used, and that's as far as I think he was involved in it. And I think it'll prove. I think he'll probably get off though. I think it'll prove he's innocent, because I don't think he'll be framed for it. But
Why?
I don't think they'll ever find out whoever did it.
Why would he ever take this risk?
He must have been in desperation, or his life was at stake, one or the other.
Who are these people who paid him?
That's a good question.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know none of them. I wouldn't even have any idea. But
What kind of people do you think they are?
probably some rich Southerner, probably. You mean pay for get the guy murdered? Probably some rich Southern guy. Because they had reports out, read different reports and that, and they claimed that they had a bounty on his life. So I imagine he must have run into somebody, or when he escaped, somebody knew that he was hot, and he just took advantage of that point.
How do you think they would know they could trust him, not to name them?
Well, all you have to do is just check, back on the guy's record. And a millionaire, they got thousands of ways to check him. And they had him all checked out before they used him probably.
So if he was used,
But everything you believe
they
just from knowing
had an
your
idea that he
brother.
wouldn't tell at all. He was just
I
that
know,
type of
but
person.
from talking to him and from what time I have been around him and that, because he always relied on me. I wrote to him every other week, and he needed money, I sent him money down. He needed favors, or if I needed favors, or
But you have not talked to him since the King assassination.
no, I haven't talked to him since then. I won't talk to him until
All
he gets
this is
to
from
Memphis.
before he was actually convicted
Will you
in the
ask
courts
him what happened?
Naturally, I'll ask him.
or pled guilty.
What do you think he'll say?
Yeah, I think he'll tell me.
You think he will tell you the truth?
Yeah, I think he'll tell me. I don't think he'll tell me who paid him to use his name or nothing like that, but I mean, he'll tell me if he had anything to do with it, or if he was completely innocent and he just run the, because he didn't want to do 18 years.
All right, one last question. You are convinced that even if he is convicted of murder, he will never reveal anybody's name?
No, like the inmate said it was with him down there, that he'll take it to his deathbed.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
Going to jail for somebody. If that was how it is, Jesus. Now that is crazy. Now hold on, we gotta look, because if you don't know, let's see, Jen. So let's go over into his sentence of James Earl Ray. So the assassin, he was sentenced to 99 years in prison after pleading guilty to his crimes. He initially confessed to the murder, but later recanted his claims, and there was a conspiracy. Ray's sentence did not include parole eligibility for the first half of the term. He also attempted to escape prison twice, including an escape in the Bush Mountain State Penitentiary in 1977. So on March 10th, 1969, Ray pled guilty to the murder of Dr. King and was sentenced to 99 years in prison as per the Shelby County Criminal Court in Tennessee. Ray later reversed his guilty plea and maintained his innocence, claiming that he was not the sole perpetrator, and that there was a conspiracy. No parole eligibility. The sentence of 99 years would not be eligible for parole until serving at least 49.5 years. Ray attempted to escape from prison, included one in 1967 from the Missouri prison while serving for another offense, and another in 1977 in the Bush Mountain State Penitentiary. Yeah. James Earl Ray ultimately died in prison in 1998 while still serving his sentence for the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Wow. That is, wow, so much information. And this was the sole audio file that was released out of 6,301 PDFs and one MP3 file from his brother, just basically telling him how he felt about it. That is crazy. Now, like I said before, make sure you go and do your own research on what your thoughts are. I'll decide on if I can, this full breakdown right here. I'll decide if I'll release that. But Jesus. Go do your own research. The files are available for everyone to see. Break them down if you want to, or like I did, do like I did and use AI to your benefit to give you a more overview of what exactly happened. Wow, that's crazy. But remember, the main things that are new stuff coming out was the former cellmate of James Earl Ray talked about how he's discussed an alleged assassination plot. The brothers' interview of the audio that we just listened to together, and just more details on an international hunt. Now, I don't know if this is all the information that's listed or something that's buried. The AI just didn't even bring it up, but hey, do your own research and just tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what your thoughts are on some of the stuff that we've heard or I've read through. Do you think that there was another a plot? Do you think that there was more people besides James Earl Ray who worked with him? Do you think he was paid? Tell me your thoughts. Tell me if you're going to go through the research yourself. Tell me if you're going to use AI to help you. But AI is so powerful. I did not think it would go through, and I thought it would give me like an error message. You need to please upload the files. I was like, but it went on the website itself and pulled through all the information. At least that's what it's saying. Tell me if you think it's wrong. Tell me if you don't. Tell me if you don't think you can trust it. That is a good question. Do you think you can trust the information that AI pulls out? That is all good questions. But hey, thank you for watching. I'll probably break this up into several segments. We'll have something talking about I have a full video breakdown just of the whole thing, just like my live streams. But then I'll also do individual videos of the AI that the AI voices and stuff like that that actually read through some of this stuff and have this own separate video file for the audio. But hey, that's it. Remember, this is AC the Engineer. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for any more information. And just always leave me your thoughts and your comments so we can discuss about this. I don't want to live in no echo chamber. We need to make sure that we have an opportunity to discuss and review the world together. Thank you for watching, and everything else. Peace. All right, everybody. Remember, this is AC Reviews the World. Remember to like and subscribe.